LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. An LDG desktop tuner works automatically with nearly any station and up to 1,000 watts. LDG power tuners are ideal for portable and mobile use as they consume almost no current and can be powered by internal batteries that last up to a year. LDG tuners are backed by our 2-year, fully transferable warranty and our legendary customer service, the best in the industry. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Oh, well, hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire, our Saturday morning community live stream. My call sign's K0STH, joined today in our live stream by Steve, W7UDI. Good morning, Steve. Good morning.
Good morning, Christian.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us at this fine Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'm glad we're up and rolling. We're up and rolling, and we hit the post right on time. Right on time. And I guess it's time for us. I would love to have somebody come on and read the weather from our group. We got the Discord every morning. Everybody seems to check there first. It's like however many. Right now at game time, 23.4 degrees here in this part of Missouri, and about 66 degrees in the shack, but that's okay. I can deal with that. A little chilly, but it's mostly on the outside.
We are 17.2 outside and 62.4 here in the shacks, and it's warming up.
All right.
We were 15 a little bit ago, so.
Yeah, it's heating up. Got a heat wave going.
Yes, it is.
Last week we brought in Pastor Joe to do the weather. And some people probably should just be passionate about weather. I mean, he unplugged his stuff. He's, let's throw it over to the weather guy. And Pastor Joe's like, unplugging. I'm going to go on rogue. I'm out. You can hear me, right? So maybe we'll bring somebody in. I put the key under the mat. It's actually one of these keys. It's a skeleton key. It's number 6. So leave it under the mat.
Skeleton key.
And you can come and hang out if you choose. This is a very laid-back Saturday morning, all topics, bring your topics, questions, positive attitude, and it's a gathering, just a gathering spot for us. Hello to Mark and Lou. We see those friends there. There's Wes. Let's see. Scotty. And there he is. Pastor Joe is here again.
Someone has to keep an eye on us.
Yes, somebody has to be a conscience. I don't know that I have one of those, but it would be Pastor Joe over here. Right. If I can't spell it, I don't have it. It's Mike, Mark, and some of our friends. Ben is on the road. Ben sent me a message today, said he was going out to deal with, he's going to pick up a new radio. I think it's a Drake.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. He's getting a new rig.
Don is here. He's out. He went from minus 22 and did the smart thing and headed out to the desert. So he's out there in, what did you say, Arizona, I think?
Something like that.
Yeah, he went to HRO and he's all excited. He's all excited about it. Let's see where else we want to go. Some people chimed in about the football. I got some interesting email this week. I always get questions that maybe are not so related to ham radio specifically. It's more of like a commentary type of thing. They want to go to Steve for the highly technical, coax loss ratio and all this sort of stuff. And I get these life things. They're like philosophy things. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I'll talk about that. And the new podcast came out this week, episode 333, I believe, 333 already. Yep. And podcast listeners, as you listen back to this, know that on Saturday mornings, you're welcome to come here. This eventually makes it to you, but when you subscribe to the podcast and you have like a 100-watt ID, you get all this information first. It's sort of like it comes across your ticker. Ooh, they're going to be doing this. So we put, clips, live streams on YouTube, but everybody who is a podcast subscriber is getting the full-length stuff and they get it first. After all, that's kind of how we began. And people still like to hear things in their ear. Mm-hmm. And one of the emails, I brought up the email, it was about how, they'll say, I'm one of the people that want to listen to the podcast. They're either people that work with big machines or they're traveling and they want to keep it in their ear and they can hold on to the conversation for a longer period of time. They can't click on the YouTube. So there's this balance in finding what's bite size for YouTube and what is full length here. And I think I'm just trying to serve the people with what they want. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a master over there on the YouTube. I'll just put it up there. But YouTube doesn't want like 90 minutes of us chatting away. I don't know. I think we'd have to have fireballs and all that sort of stuff. We could do that. I mean, we could. How's that?
Ooh,
if I light a fire in here. Let's see. What's Pastor Joe up to? Good morning, Dan. We see Dan. They're giving their temperatures now. I guess we'll go and do a check. So go ahead and put your temperatures either in the Discord where we do it or here in the chat, and maybe somebody will join us and scroll back and give us sort of a national weather forecast or what have you. I left a key under the door if you want to come in and say hello. Where was I going with that mail? Oh, yeah. So correspond a lot with people over the email, and that's a lot of fun. You kind of see what they're having trouble with, what they dig, what they don't dig. So we can go over some questions. I had some questions and some topics that come up. I also get email about life, these life things, like Meatloaf died. And like, what was Meatloaf's real name? Like, oh, yeah, right. Meatloaf. He was 74. He was just Mr. Loaf.
I think he had some serious illness or something. I saw a headline or something that he was battling something, but I didn't delve into it this morning. Yeah,
he was always a big fella, and then he got himself together. I remember last seeing him on The Apprentice years ago when I used to watch that program. I'm not sure if it's still on, but he was, it was like the Celebrity Apprentice. Mm-hmm. And there's some songs I like by him. Paradise by the Dashboards, a real long one. When you're radio broadcast, you seek out these so you can go to the bathroom. But anyway, that was one that I liked. I like that from him. And, people love the meat. People love the meatloaf. Mm-hmm. 74.
And then we had Louis Anderson.
Yeah, that was a bummer. I was more of a fan of, say, Louis, because I always found Louis to be funny when I found him. He wasn't I wasn't seeking him out like I may seek out some comedians. But he was always good. He was always really good. And he's sort of a generation, Just 68 years old, though. I think that's too young. And he had a condition, too. Of course, both of these guys were heavy. Meatloaf was certainly heavy at one time. And you know what that does to your body and your heart. And Louis was big the whole time I ever remembered.
He's
Louis
always
was
been
a big guy.
Yeah, he's been a big boy.
But he had some health issues as well.
So we lost two good guys this week. So,
and there's others. It's like I don't know. I guess it's notable. We lose them all the time. I'm sure we're losing people all the time, every minute that we don't know. And I went through Facebook because I got back on. I got back on the Facebook under my original account. I have a well-placed friend at Facebook that I didn't remember.
Nice.
And she's
I'm glad you got it.
She made it happen.
Perfect.
She made it happen for me. And I didn't, it was like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, you're such a bad person. I'm like, I know. Now everybody knows. She just, kidding me and poking me like, what is this? But yeah, she's out she lives in Amsterdam now, but she's a big player. And I had forgotten. And we just had touched base through LinkedIn or something weird. And I've known her for years. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't do, because I got in a conversation about her Facebook. I'm like, I'm not even really in there. I got locked out. And so I gave her some information. And by I tried to log back in the next day. She was here in this. It was done. I was like, oh. So what I did is I went in there and really cleaned up, man. I put in because I believe I was hacked. And we just went over 13,000 people in our Facebook group. And I never wanted to abandon anybody. I never wanted to make anybody feel like Damn, he just left us for the Discord. I got some mail about that too. You're just going to bed. I'm like, I can't get to you. I'm under Dirk Diggler, the prosthetic penis. I don't know. I'm just trying to fool the thing, man. That's like literally what had to happen.
Didn't Dirk play in the movie Magic Mike or something?
I don't know what that is, but I also got an email about your banana hammock. I don't know if you want to. That was a bit of a live stream exclusive. A Makita battery and a banana hammock.
Banana hammock, yeah.
And of course, I'm trying to go down this dirt road with you, and I'm like, yeah, let's talk about banana plugs. Dude, don't say it. Don't say it. And they're like, yeah, just say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. It's Pastor Joe. Don't say banana. Don't say banana plugs, Steve. No. Yeah, say it. You got to say
Whoosh, it. Off we go down the red dirt road.
Oh Lord, it is true. It is true. And sometimes when you speak of the devil, he shows up. And remember, guys, in the chat and on Discord and on Facebook, I put the key, the number 6 skeleton key. It's under the mat. All you got to do, shut the door, pet the pooch, grab yourself some coffee, which I still need to do, a donut. Who would you bring, donuts?
Nope, I just brought the coffee.
Oh, you're 100 watts
and then hit the merch store. So.
Old school. Yeah, I got a new shirt, new stuff in there. Radio is life. Check it out. It's in there now. I dig it. I need to get myself something, new sweatshirt. I've been wearing this shirt like it's cool. It's just around here. I just pick it up. Let's see if we can do the weather properly this time around. We'll see if Pastor Joe is available to do our weather on the Discord and on Facebook. So get it together, Steve. Okay. No banana hammock. Best behavior. No banana Best plugs. Behavior. Okay. We understand. Everybody understand. Good morning. Oh no.
Oh God.
No. No. He got to go. Did you see that? Blatant.
Yeah.
No. Boston Red Sox. That's not. You've heard his eyes. Son of a. No. Oh, wow. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to count and light candles for this. I know it, because it's gonna be like, if the gates of heaven really exist, St. Peter will be there and he'll go through the list. It'll be one of these. So, Jesus, and they'll say,
"Yes, my son."
You actually disconnected with a pastor. You dropped the pastor off your live stream that nobody's watching. Why would you do something like that?
Well, it was the Boston Red Sox.
You would know Jesus understands. Jesus understands. He would go, it's the rivalry thing, the Baltimore thing. I got it. I mean, I've got some protection. We will find out. Last week we tried to catch up with Scotty. Scotty's here. Let's see if we can get a redemption out of Scotty this week. Let's see what we can do. Love that. Look at that old school. Look at that microphone.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's my audio this week?
Woo! Take over, dude.
Holy
great success.
There you go. Very good. Sound great, Scotty. What's up, man?
Not much. Just checking in. I got my old school 100 watts in a wire t-shirt on this morning.
Yes, you do.
And I just had to redeem myself. Being an audio guy, and you being a microphone guy, I got the Neumann U47 set.
It's so sexy. Let's go closer. Look at this. Look at this guy's shack, by the way. Like, when you run across the audio people. Look at all. What are those things? Like, let's start at the top. Go to the top, Scotty, and tell me about that gray silver face one at the top.
So it's just a little M audio speaker. I have 2 of them hooked up to the computer. A couple power supplies. Some scanners. See, I got an old CB right here.
Yeah.
An old analog Radio Shack scanner. That's my long wire tuner. Let's see. I got an FTD FTM. What is this thing? FT 2980, 80 watt 2 meter rig. So being that I'm on the 3rd floor of an apartment above a hair salon, this is my MFJ artificial ground, which is working pretty well. Got my Yaesu FT101E with the matching speaker.
Look at that bad boy.
My D104 with I had this hooked up to the 101 with the old school sort of flag with my call sign on it. What else? I have Steve will appreciate this. I have a FTDX 3000 here.
Pretty.
And then I have a on the flat part of the roof. I have an RX a coax loop antenna, and that's sitting on a G450 rotator, which is here's the rotate controller there, so I can steer the loop. And outside of we got another scanner here, P25 Phase 2 scanner, Phase 1 P25 scanner, and some Baofeng handhelds. So, and then behind me on my Windows machine, running SDR console, and I have a discone antenna in the attic, and the loop antenna I was just talking about are running into a distribution amplifier and driving all the scanners and the SDR on the screen behind me. That's 40 meters. That's what 40 meters is looking like here on Main Street in Ellicott City tonight.
Beautiful.
Nice.
And yeah, that's about it. And then I have a Mac Mini. I'm a Mac guy, being an audio guy, so that's the computer I'm on now. So
Me too. Actually, I think Steve is on a Mac Mini also.
Yep, we're on the Mac Minis.
So,
yeah, it just works, man. They work really well, especially for this. It's dedicated. I love it, man. Any questions for him, Steve? That was pretty sexy.
No, we went through it on the Discord channel. But
you did?
Nice setup.
We were chatting about my setup on Discord a few evenings ago. It was like 1 a.m. East Coast time, so it's dinner time. Steve's time.
The power lines, the beer. I focused. Being warped as I am.
The cat.
How about the cat's ass? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's just right there. There it is. Hello.
Say hi to the dude.
I mean, for real, man.
That's Willie.
That's awesome.
I take these as signs. These are signs. Like, oh yeah, you're on that crap show. Here's one. Show them this.
So Willie is known on Main Street as the weather. He's a weather watcher, Willie. So when we're under the threat of flooding and stuff, one of the things that me and my girlfriend provide for our Main Street community is, and Christian, you're aware of this, is do live stream. I have access to several of the flood cameras that FEMA installed under a subsidy for us, and I have access to those feeds. Just for those watching and listening, I live in an area that's prone to some pretty devastating flooding and lethal flooding. And when it rains here, everyone gets pretty freaked out. So one of the things to help calm the folks in town is I'll live stream some of the camera feeds on Facebook. We have a little community group, Ellicott City Historic Community. And and then Willie is he's the face of that live stream when we go live. So
nice. So these cameras, where do they point at? Streams, tunnels?
Yeah, at the watershed. And then there's a couple key points. Don't knock my phone off the table there, bub. Most of the cameras point at the watershed. We have a creek that runs through town towards the Patapsco River, and over the last 8 years or so, the flooding that's happened hasn't been the river rising. It's been the flow of water coming down the hill towards the river. And it finds its way through Main Street. The town where I live is essentially it's a granite riverbed, but little beknownst to the Ellicott brothers in 1772 that there was going to be some potential flooding issues down the line. But so yeah, most of the cameras point at the watershed, and we have some flood markers that we've installed, some foot markers, and we know when it reaches a certain level that it's time to start thinking about grabbing the go bag.
There you go.
I'm glad you're on the third floor. That's a smart spot to live in.
My first place on Main Street was on a basement level apartment, and I lost everything there in 2011.
Oh, and I'm not laughing. Hey, didn't you have a fire? Was it a fire or a flood?
It was I've only been affected by floods. Okay. But there has been some fires on Main Street prior to my time living here. There was like the last big fire here was in the late 90s. A couple of restaurants down towards the river burned. Apparently, it was a busboy with this Outback smoking and flicked his cigarette into the pile of trash, and the three buildings ended up going down.
Ugh. Scotty, hang in here a minute here. Yep. We're gonna try this again with Pastor Joe. And I don't know, the lessons in life
Get ready.
He's an antagonist. He is an antagonist. So I don't know. Let's see. Let's see where we are here with him. Okay. We'll bring him up here. I think we got him.
Well, hello, Pastor Joe.
Hi. Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Just dandy. How are things there on the East Coast and all that?
We're okay. We're okay.
This is like the parent conversation you have when you came in like really late.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Hi. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, Dad.
Yes.
Do you know what time it is?
Did you not have your watch?
It's plenty after 12. So I've been studying on how to do the weather. And I found these really instructional videos on YouTube, of course. There's some guy named George Carlin who used to do a weather thing, the hippy dippy weatherman.
Can do that. I like it.
I am totally ready for that. Okay?
Hey, can you go through the Discord weather channel and maybe our chat here, and we can find out what's going on around our country with our friends?
Yes, I can. Absolutely. So first of all, I want to shout out to Scotty because we have talked by email and such. So he lives in Ellicott City, Maryland. Mm-hmm. My middle name is Ellicott. I am named after the city in which Scotty lives. So because way back in the 1800s, my family lived there. So he and I have had this conversation, and I hope to get down there to meet him sometime. So apart from that, so I have prepared a weather map. Okay.
I love it. That's good. Let's go full screen on Pastor Joe.
Thank you.
Hotter, hot, really cold, and cold.
Okay. Now, I want to point out, we've got reports of a biohazard. Where is it? Here. That's right around the St. Louis area, flesh-eating bacteria. Mm-hmm. So, you might want to watch out for that. And then
look at the northwest.
Here. Okay, so that's
a picture of Steve. That ain't right.
That's a zombie outbreak. Okay, and that's kind of all right. So, Steve, be careful. Who's that behind you, Steve? Okay. Anyway.
Steve. Hold on, timeout. We call HQ headquarter timeout here. I know he took a little bit of flack for this last week after we put his photo up there. But Steve, do you want to address this this power in the wall over here? Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, it's not nearly as bad as it looks. Okay,
I said Steve, Pastor Joe. Don't try to go unplugging it now. Go ahead, Steve. Tell them what's going on with this. Is there a problem? Are we concerned about it?
Oh, yeah.
Steve, it's all low voltage. Trust me. Okay?
Oh, that's what they all say. Mm-hmm.
It's true. Okay.
Put that right up where it's there. It's not that big.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Weather radio.
What is on the other side of that plug? High voltage.
Oh, you mean this guy? It's only two. It's only two. And this goes to the Baofeng, which is monitoring local PD. Because, I'm a police chaplain. It's good to know what's going on. And then, look, this is nothing more than a little USB charger for my USB to charge my microphone. Honest. It's all very low voltage.
This is my favorite thing ever. This is my favorite thing. I just want to put you and Steve up there together. Because he's squirming now. He's squirming. He's like, oh, that's it. And the firefighter's like, no.
Mm-mm.
I removed the space heater, okay? So we're good. We can do a little weather here. So here in Freehold, actually I'm in Marlboro, but Freehold, it's, 18 degrees. It was very cold. And let me see. Let me just scroll through here and see who else we got. Except it's not scrolling. Okay, there we go. Solo travel adventures. It's cold. All right, we got you there. Okay.
That's Patrick.
That's Patrick. Yep. Okay. I know that Paul N2HYG is on, and it's probably in the low teens around there. Hello, Paul. How you doing, buddy? 34 in Magnolia, Texas. That might be the warm spot. And let's see. What else we got? 24 in Bartlesville. That's Paul. KA5 PMV. Thanks for that report, Paul. And 39 in Washougal, Washington. Whiskey 1, Bravo, Uniform Sierra. Dan, 39 degrees in the state of Washington. Oh, and Jeff Finney reports 15.9, not 15.8, but 15.9 in Connecticut. There's another old nutmegger. I grew up in Fairfield County, by the way. Mark H says 21. And yeah, so generally it's cold, man. It's pretty cold. So, hey man, it's the hippy dippy weather, man.
Hey, did we get did we get everybody in the chat for YouTube? Is that where you were kind of going through?
I was just reading from YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. I didn't know if we did the Discord too, where we all like to gather and talk about that.
Yeah. No, I'm out of screens. So anyway, that's the weather. And yeah, don't forget flesh-eating bacteria and the zombies. Okay, so.
All right. Well, I mean, is there a show? Should I hang up now with Pastor Joe? I mean, it's like it's so hard.
Actually, if I don't work on this sermon for tomorrow, we're going to be watching Bugs Bunny shorts.
What are we talking about tomorrow?
I might show up for that.
Tomorrow, we are going to be hearing a message on the things that hold you back from your full potential. How's that?
Okay. All right. Sounds very cerebral.
It's very real.
Okay. All right.
So, we're doing good work here. And you are too, by the way.
Send us the Cliff Notes version because, Steve and I can't read, so we got to help. We got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, there's a book I can send you, actually, if you want. Just saying.
It's a book.
What part of we don't know how to read?
In fact, I just happen to have
a picture
several
book?
copies here.
All right, Pastor Joe, be good, man. Thank you for
very
doing the
much,
weather.
Jody.
We appreciate
See you,
you.
Christian. Thank you so much. God bless.
We appreciate you, man.
See you later.
He's so fun. He is so fun. He's so laid back. I was scared to death growing up Catholic, and you barely would even speak to the priest, let alone have fun with a priest, in terms of conversation. Or the nuns, yeah. Or the nuns. And, it's not I just grew up Catholic and grew up in Baltimore, and that's how it was. You didn't make little small talk and jokes with the authority. So it's nice to have Joe, who is a friend and somebody who can take a joke and give a joke. But that fire, the plug situation set some people back last week because I posted a photo of us goofing around, and they were like, "Whoa, what's going on with that wall?" And then you jumped in. I want to invite other folks. You can come in here too. You might be a little camera shy or mic fright or that sort of thing, but I'll put the key under the mat. It's the number 6. The skeleton key will get you back in here. Just pat the dog on the head, pour yourself some coffee. And it's in Discord. It's in our Discord thing. Go ahead.
And if you don't want to turn on your camera, just give us your audio.
We can just take the audio. That's good.
We can take the audio too.
Hello to Spike. He's out there. He is in 43 in Billings, Montana, which is up. Man, that's like a spring type of day, 43. I know it's been pretty cold out there.
Look at Marty down there in Fullerton. 55.
What's he working with? Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, 24 here, and we got what they call the Arctic blast. But I never had heard that term before, and boy, you could feel it every hour. We would drop down, and it was that sort of wind that would hit your skin and make you feel a certain way about it. It was not good. But you're welcome to join us if you have a question or a comment. You want to, whatever, you can join us. It's a laid-back live stream here in our community. I mentioned earlier, episode 333 was posted. Thursdays have been a good day for me to kind of snap off some things and address some what's going on type of deal. And not to get too heavy in here, but I mentioned about emergency communications on the show. And my feeling here, to put it in a nutshell to some that may have not have seen it or listened to it yet, remember the podcast folks who subscribe are getting this first in full always. It makes it eventually in smaller chunks up to the YouTube. Waka waka. I'm just feeling that after 12 or 13 months in the Aries program, watching what's going on around here, it's not to say that we aren't needed in emergency situations. I know that we're not always called or deployed for them. Yes, there's bike races and those sorts of things that we support, but that's not an emergency. And our infrastructure's gotten so strong these days that even cell phones have held up in some pretty nasty stuff in recent times. So my point was that I think in other places in other countries, we may be able to serve, better, easily. I don't know. It's kind of complicated here, and I'm talking to a first responder here on your screen sidecars here. I don't know if we're just in the way, we're training and we're doing that, and all that's great. I just don't know about emergency communications as for hams anymore in our country being what we should be hanging our hat on these days. And I will respectfully turn it to Steve to talk about it as a first responder and how things work at the local level. We don't have to get too crazy and deep about it. But I could share with you what our friend, and I'll get over to Steve, what I found. Anybody who's interested, I got into amateur radio because of emergency communications. Now, this is our friends up in Canada, the Radio Amateurs of Canada. And if you read through this, do a little search here. Some really interesting things are said by Victor Echo 3, Juliet X-Ray Tango about this new auxiliary communication service. And I'll put us up here and we both can kind of look through it a little bit. But they're changing the way they're doing things and the way they're doing it in Canada right now. And I think that that's a sign. That may be a sign for us down here that the way they're changing how they approach. They're still going to do some training. It's really interesting. If you could check it out, go to rac.ca, and this is under Community Services Officer. And they're just changing the way they do it. They're going to be changing our role or their role, amateur radio, to an auxiliary communications. And it covers those amateur radio techniques and system that could potentially be used. However, the focus is changing. And that's in Canada. That's not here. It's a different country. I get it. But there could be some signs there, if you're willing to look through it and read this interesting commentary. Steve, we don't have to get too heavy. I know it's a Saturday morning on it. It's a complicated and rich topic. But seeing that change more to an auxiliary situation where they still train a little bit, but it's not going to be the focus. Like, it's almost like, we're going to do things differently as hams. You got some thoughts on that?
Oh, we have it here. It's here in the state of Washington. Actually, Seattle has been doing it for 10 plus years. They have an auxiliary comm group, and that's amateur based. And what it does, it meets the needs of the city. This is just strictly the city of Seattle that they taken care of. Now, personally, I haven't really delved into it. I just know it's been there for many, many years. And it's just a way to meet the needs of what the city has. And, everything's pretty much on the local level, as you mentioned. And in the way I'm seeing it more is the bigger metropolitan areas or the counties that have more funding, they've really beefed up their communication systems. Our roles have changed in those metropolitan areas. There's a lot of money involved. A lot of the systems are pretty bulletproof. There's a lot of redundancies, and then the structure on how they operate. And we need to get into something like that. There needs to be relationships, but relationships take time to develop, and in those larger areas, directors and people that are where you make these relationships change jobs. There's a high turnover. But in the smaller counties and where the majority of us are in the rural areas, we have a need. There is a big need because their infrastructure, and like my county, our infrastructure, while it's good, it's not like a big P25 system or some big trunk system. We're just a pretty basic simulcast radio system, but our county has different needs versus, like, say, King County or Pierce County, or counties on the west side of Washington State, and that will apply to your locale. So the biggest thing is relationships that your group of your club or your group needs to make with your local emergency management team, and find out what they need, what they want, and become part of that. And so it's the need. I think we're still needed, but how we help or provide those services has changed from what we have done in the past. And if we can't be flexible in that, then we're going to be, no, sorry, thank you for coming, but we don't need you. And so it's, since the podcast went out Thursday, I've really been kind of thinking about it, and it's like, well, how is this going to work? But auxiliary program is one thing. RACES is another one that has been on the books and been around for a long time, kind of fell off to the wayside because ARES kind of took over, but maybe that might work. But
I mean, and RACES is a government issue thing. That was the thing that the president can pull the trigger on that one, so to speak, and put us in play. And it isn't to say the commentary is posted on YouTube if you want to hear it, but you could hear everything in full on the podcast. It isn't to say that we're not needed at all. It's that we've changed so much, and I think that we would be of better use, Steve and us and anybody who's around and listening that is trained and interested, if we went to other places. Now, other countries are not as sophisticated. The infrastructure is not as strong. So I think our role might be more of an international stage. Some of these smaller countries and the lessons that we learn and we train for could be used in those places. I mean, you got to be willing to go there and help and serve, but some of the people don't even have official people.
And these other countries or locales have to be willing to let us in.
Right.
And so let's bring up one that's topical right now, Tonga. Well, they're just not going to let anybody in because of the pandemic. Right. Yeah, they have a huge problem. From what I understand, they've only had one case of COVID. Now, do you want to bring in a bunch of emergency workers or communicators, and they now potentially could bring in the virus where they've had only one case, and so they're trying to mitigate that. So yeah, we sit here in the States and say, yes, we're going to, we should be going there. It's like, no, we will say, hey, we're here to help. What do you need? What do you want from us? And then leave it at that, and then go from there. We had the Force of 50 that went to Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico is part of it's U.S. possession. So that's a different story. But when we're dealing with other countries, it's...
And the Force of 50 was actually not even 30. I believe it was 27 or 28.
20 some odd people.
That one set me off in a whole different kind of thing there. And the league's interest in amateur radio and emergency communications is debatable. Many people don't think that they should be involved, frankly, in it. But it's a diverse, complicated thing. And I believe in the training and, but we really hang our hat here in America on this. When all else fails, well, things are getting stronger. We may need to pivot a little bit to hang our hat on some other stuff too, I guess is another point, where it's not just that, yeah, we could help if you want us to help, or if you need us, we're there and ready. We're training, we're practicing. But
and
here it's different.
This is where those relationships come in between your county officials and your local club, because they don't know us. They don't know what capabilities and what we can bring to the table. And that's what's needed. So when an EOC is opened up, there is specific and roles that people play. And these people are known to others. within the community. It's a pretty small community. And so when we come in as amateurs, they don't know us. They don't know us what level of understanding or training that we have with the ICS system. The ICS system is really, really big, and it's structured, and everybody has a role in it. And then when you just start showing up and say, hey, we're here, right off the bat, the red flags go up. You're self-deploying. That is one of the biggest bozo no-nos in the ICS system.
Right.
You don't go rogue. You don't self-deploy. There's a process and how this all plays out. And if those EOC officers or leadership in there have any inkling that you don't know anything about the ICS system, there's the door. Don't let it hit you on the fanny on the way out. It's just you're not going to be part of the game. And Nepal, another good example. So, yeah, it's a complex thing, but it all comes back down to relationships, in my opinion, and finding out the need. Now, what we bring to the table is communicators. We're radio operators. Now, you got to be willing and flexible. Say where if you come in and we bring an Aries, Races, auxiliary comm team into a situation, they might say, we don't want you talking on ham radio. We want you to start talking on a shares frequency. And shares is this government HF frequency. So you need to be willing to be flexible and not come in and say, well, if I'm not talking on my 7300 here on amateur AFF, I'm not going to play. Then you're not going to be part of it.
Go home.
You become part of the problem. You need to be part of the solution. So you could be doing runner. So you'll be assigned could be to a dispatch center and say, well, we need you to go between the EOC and the actual dispatch center, running papers. Do it, because also that could be, they're going to see your dedication, and if you're going to be part of the solution, and then down the road that can change. So if you're going to be involved in it, you got to be flexible and do whatever job is required of you, because your job is one part of the big picture. And so, I mean, there's times when, I'm out there on the front line and we might be, okay, well, you're going to be doing this. And it's like, oh, that sucks. I go through all this training and all I'm going to do is just sit here. But you know what? It's part of the process. And
I love the local aspect. You get to know what's weak in your area. What are your, and that's why I think the CERTS program is really good, where ordinary citizens, not even amateur radios, there's some in there, of course, but where Ma and Pa at home understand what they can do, how to use a fire extinguisher, how to help your neighborhood. Because I know here where I live, we have one of these contracted fire companies. They're under a contract, and there's only so many people. And when something big would happen, they're going to be shorthanded. So it's important to teach the civilians this sort of skill. So I think CERT is really important, and knowing what's there and at risk at your local level. I'm near airports, I'm near the rivers, things are going up and down the highway. There's fuel lines that run right through town. Understanding these sorts of things and how limited. So I'm big on the CERT thing. I would say, hey, let's get into the CERT and understand some of these principles at a general level. And then, connecting with your local area here. But, it's complicated. I was 12 or 13 months in the local Aries, and nothing against the guys there. We were it was before the pandemic hit, and then it was all on Zoom. And I was just thinking, I don't think any of these people have ever been deployed. I'm not sure if any of them are ready to. And some of them, and it's all said with respect and love to other amateurs, I'm not even sure they can program their own radios. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know. And my interest in this is something else, and I don't think it's a good fit. And it's not to crap on the Aries program or the team there at all. They're just doing what they've always done. But I was interested in studying HF. Now I know you say, Christian, this is about, we got a backbone. It's a digital backbone. I wanted to study the backup to that. I wanted to study simplex. I wanted to study point-to-point contact, and then HF to be able to get to nearby states or adjacent states to see how many hospital beds there might be. So I was kind of in this whole thing, and it was like, I don't know. I don't know. We kind of got a thing here, and I was like, cool, I get it. But I don't think this is for me. I'm going to go outside and set up MVIS and see if I can hit Kansas City or Oklahoma on my 80 meters. Just, So I think it was just a different philosophy. And I think we can see the changes in participation. There's so many of us that believe in this, but I'm just not sure. I don't know if we can hang our hats on it like we did several years ago when it was like, we're the ones in the buttons, and when all else fails, I don't know. Have you been called? Have you been called up? Have you been deployed anywhere? Anyway, that's what it was all about. And I don't even know why I went down that road in the podcast, but it's just a feeling. And then seeing how things are going up in Canada and how they're changing the sort of model. And I think you have to change. I mean, you're the one that taught me years ago. What's the fireman's motto is to overcome,
adapt, overcome, and move on.
And maybe that's kind of this sort of evolution of emergency stuff that's happening. That's all. What says you, our friends that are in the chat? You're welcome. Sorry, Steve. By all means, I just want to invite them to the conversation.
We'll get there
if they care.
And we have to be adaptable. And what worked in the past is not going to work today. Now, what worked in the past may work in some places, but not all places. So this is where we can make more change once we start at the local level. And so once you start having something that works in this one county, we'll use counties as this local level, this DEM or this emergency manager is going to say, hey, I got these group of guys that are, this worked great for us. And another county, the neighboring county, could have been struggling through the same incident. And then he's going to brag about, look at us, we did really good. And then that word of mouth will start spreading, and it starts to spread out. And then that can help us become more kind of relevant. Right now, we're not as in the emergency services world. In public safety, we're kind of out to the side. We were in the tent. We're now outside the tent. So now we just got to get our nose under the tent like the camel and start working our way back in. But we have to provide a benefit to be included. A lot has changed since 9/11 and prior to that. And if you're not flexible, then you're going to be left out. And you got to be in it for the long haul. This is not one of those that, hey, I want to be, get involved in this, and then boom, next week I'm going to be, passing traffic and everything. Nope. You might not see.
Go heat up the coffee.
Deployed. You might not get deployed ever.
Ever.
You got to ever. So.
And hey, in some ways, that's great. That's great. That they've got systems in place but their system, like you mentioned on it earlier, there are systems and leadership and ways and systems that exist. And you have to have those things. We can't just go barreling up there and be like, I got my stuff. I got my go bag. What do you need me to do? Or maybe you could do that, but you need to, there's ways to do that and check in and,
our biggest threat that I see right now is not the natural disaster. And I'm going to share a little story that happened here in the state of Washington and into Oregon. It was, someone was doing an upgrade. So if you don't know the telephony system, the old phone system used to be a TDM based system. It's now pretty much IP based. Pretty much everything when it comes to telecommunications is pretty well IP based. So there's routers involved. Well, CenturyLink was doing some router upgrades, and they they fat fingered a keyboard, and put in a bad config, caused the 911 system to fail here in Washington State and parts of Oregon. And what had happened was that you called 911, you went nowhere. It was, but from the time that the person did the upgrade or the configuration change in a router, it was another hour or so before it was realized what was going on. Our local phone company here in Ellensburg, we have a small phone company. They recognized that right away, so they did a digit. They just did it essentially call forwarding. They set up in the phone switch that if someone dialed 911, it would just ring it to the 10-digit phone number, the business line to KitCom. Well, that was great for Lower County, but in Upper County, they were under CenturyLink was their provider. They had nothing. So now we had people that if they tried call 911, both on landline and cellular, they went nowhere. So this is a thing where amateurs could come into play, where if there was a relationship between the dispatch center, they could say, hey, we got the local radio station. We can send out a PSA that says, if you have a problem and you need to call, go to your local fire station. There will be a radio amateur operator that can relay that message to another ham that could be sitting in the data center or the dispatch center. That is one thing that could happen. So, I mean, and that was not a disaster or anything. That was an everyday thing. And these are the things that we have to be flexible. And this is where this local relationship comes up. If we have this scenario, how would you like us to respond? And so it's just, when it happened, I went, oh, shoot, we should have, ham radio operators at all the fire stations because everybody knows where their local fire station is, whether it's a volunteer station or a career staff. But it's having someone there to take the information and then pass it along, then we can, continue on our services as first responders. So that's one example, and there's many. So
I'm going to give you for that.
Golden.
Gold. It's gold. Well, thank you guys for sitting through that. That was a topic on this week's, podcast for me, thinking about it. It's good to think it through. I enjoy the practice of it. I think so. Winter Field Day was another, I think that's what brought it up is because, we do field day, we do the tune-up, we do the fallout, and it's all, for me, a test of what I could do if I needed to. My mind is kind of switched back from not the community. It's all about our community. This 100 watts and a wire is all about our community. In terms of my capability, it's like at home first. How do I take care of like my team here at home, my family, and then branch out into like the neighborhood, that. And so there's always something in the back of my mind when I set up portable antennas. It's not so much about, I want to activate this park. That's not it for me. It's I want to set up in a different scenario. I want to, and I give myself these little mental markers in my mind about what if, because I know it can happen. I just don't think that I will be called should it happen in South St. Louis, for all the things that we've said. So the emergency communications thing is actually becoming more focused on family first, neighborhood and community. And I think that's where my mind is with it. And the people I talk to have not been deployed, have not been. So are we part of the system? Are we not part of the system? But the training aspect of it, I think, is good. Keep doing it. Keep testing and trying. And then, so that's that. Holy moly. We got into that. I told you I didn't want to get into it, and we got into it. But
we got into it deep.
Yeah, I agree with Pastor Joe. Pastor Joe says Tonga is a perfect situation for amateur radio, and so are a lot of other third world countries, different situations. You mentioned Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico would have been perfect for me. Puerto Rico, they turned down some really talented operators, and that whole thing is another bucket of worms. I don't even want to get into it. They needed us a lot longer than we stayed. Let's say the force of 50 for me was a marketing thing. They didn't even send that many people there. There were people that, who knew, but whatever. Good people. They went, they did it, they came back.
But
they
some
needed
of the
us more.
reports that came back was that their whole while they were there, and was their whole scope of operation changed. They ended up doing more non-radio stuff than they did radio stuff. So
and was that the need, right? Was that the need? I know that they did not interface with the locals. There were local, there was some problems there, and I had hoped. Now you're going to get me started. Let me throw down something so I look serious. Now you're going to get me started. I felt like we could have learned a lot from that. The league could have shared a lot of, we went in, we tried, we did some things wrong, and here's what we did wrong, and here's maybe what we could have. I thought, it's a publication house right now. Maybe they will create a book about this, and we can buy the book or get the book with our membership, and it says, here's how we went, this is how we chose, and these are lessons learned from Puerto Rico.
An AAR is really needed, and whether the AAR was done or after action report, what AAR is,
right?
Whether it was done, if it was done, it was probably kept internal, and it really should have been shared around. And it's like, and this is what we did wrong. This is what worked. This is what didn't. And then what you can do, and from here on out, we do it all the time. When we have a major incident, or whether it's a wildland fire, large structure fire, if we have, especially if we have any injuries involving first responders, we will go into shortly after that, we will have an AAR, and then we will discuss that. We'll go through, okay, these are the center. Okay, Steve, you came in on engine 221. What did you tell us how it went down from your point of view. Then next engine, they'll talk about how, from their point of view, and my crew and myself will talk about what went on. And then this is what we saw, this is what we did. And then it was like, well, did you see this? What would you have done if you realized that? And I was like, oh yeah, we would have probably done this or that. So these are the things where we learn from these after action reports. And and we have to be honest with ourselves. And
I think it just wasn't fulfilled in my mind the way it could have been. I worked at the University of Maryland Shock Trauma, and every day there was a new, some of my favorite lessons came out of working there for 3 years. They had a rounds called Morbidity and Mortality. And these were the trauma surgeons, and they would meet every Wednesday, 10 o'clock. And they were put in the room of their peers and the leaders of the hospital. I mean, these are the guys. One of the guys saved President Reagan when Reagan was shot. He was at George Washington in Washington at the time. There was another guy. These are the doctors where if something happens to you, something explodes near you, you crash on a ski. Like, these guys are the tops. This was early 90s. Anyway. They probably long since retired. But the point is, the young doctors doing their rounds, doing their residencies, would have to explain what they did. Okay, we had a patient here. This was the case. This is what we did in front of the peers and these leaders. And the leaders would say, did you try? Did you do this? And it was like accountability was at the highest level. And I was fascinated by it. As a young man, I was like, well, this is incredible. For the force of 50 thing, and this isn't a smack, things have changed at the league, but I would say this. I would challenge the current leadership, right? They don't know me from anything. They don't know who I am. They don't know about us, Steve. We're just in the gutter staring at the stars. But put that book out. You must have learned something. go back and look at the lessons. They got rid of the guy who was the head of emergency stuff at the league soon after. I don't know what that was about. That wasn't necessarily transparent, but just put a collection of, here was our intentions. We went to go there. We were called. We connected with our Red Cross interfaced. We all know people. I know people. You know people. I know people in Puerto Rico. We're hams. We talk to people. We develop these things, and people all over the place. I knew what was going on as it was going on. They were not interfaced properly with the locals. The locals were not kind of in this, they weren't in there. There were mistakes made, and I just think we could learn from it instead of kind of going, yeah, they went in and made it sound like we parachuted in and we solved the problem. But months and months and months later, they were still ass out of infrastructure. They were still one storm away from losing it all again. And it never really came out where we could kind of read it and go, damn, I'd love to learn about this. Okay, don't do this. Or that really worked. And if we had two people there over on this side, I know we're ranting a little bit now, but that's an American territory.
And I want to just put out here and make clear that this is nothing against the people that were there.
Of course not. No.
The boots on the ground did the best they can with what they had. They adapted, they overcame, they met the need the best they can. Was there some issues? I think there's more of a structural issue from the leadership. It was driven top down. It wasn't kind of going from bottom up. And it was there was some mistakes. Stuff happens, and so from here we got to learn from that and then go from there. And whether it was a marketing campaign, whether it was what the intentions was, I can't say what the motivation was. I have some speculations, but I have empathy for the people that were out there, boots on the ground, and the people that they were trying to help. And
we appreciate the people that went.
Yeah.
We appreciate the people that went. That's good-hearted people, took their time and they went. How they were picked would be interesting to me. How did you pick these? What were the qualifications and what were the criteria of the people that you selected? So maybe I know how I could train if I really want to serve as an EmComm ham radio operator. I thought about it. My baby was young. How many years ago was that? I don't know, but it was at probably 4 or 5 years. Young children at home, 2-week deployment. Was I ready mentally, physically to leave my family, that sort of thing? But I thought about it. I would love to learn what was the criteria of selecting those operators that went. Bless their heart for going. How did you pick them? And soup to nuts. Let's read about it. Let's be transparent about how that went down. And then maybe we'd have a better understanding of emergency communications here in our country and, its need. Anyway, you got us ranting in here. You got us going, damn it. I'm getting ready to curse. Well, what says you guys? I appreciate the comment from Mike, the critical thinking, learning, true learning, critical thinking, no politics, no egos, no discipline, just how to get better. That's all. That's all I would appreciate. And it's certainly as a publishing company, they put out lots of books. I got a ton of them down here in my rack of antennas and the manuals and all these sorts of things. Put it out, man. Put it out. I would buy it. I'd be the first in line to queue up to pay $30 for here's what we did in Puerto Rico. Fair enough. I'll leave it there. But I'm not passionate about the subject at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. You know what I mean. All right, let's switch gears. You guys are welcome to talk about it. You're welcome to join if you want to, if you're in an area that serves. There's so many Aries people. I was an Aries person. I told you the fit wasn't really perfect for me, and I think everything is a little different wherever you go. There's so many of us that believe in it. We practice, we serve. So respect to all those people, too, our friends in our neighborhood. This is just talk. We're talking. I want to say a thank you to a couple of our friends. We had 100 submissions for the matching program. Steve, you remember this. You're one of these guys that have an ICOM. So ICOM radio operators who have an LDG tuner with their rig could send in photographs, and each photograph was worth $5 in a matching program. I'm happy to report that LDG has donated $500. We hit the mark of 100 Yaesu, 100 of you guys out there using a Yaesu with the LDG, and the money will go back out for the 30-day review. So thank you to LDG for that. Thank you, because you guys made that happen. Each photograph you sent became worth money that matched up, and now it'll go back to 30 days, our review system. Mm-hmm. Next week's podcast will be the peer review of the Radio Waves DX40. This is that sort of off-center fed Wyndham we've talked about on the show before. Mm-hmm. 4 of your peers will get together and discuss how was the packaging, how was the manual, how was the bench test, how did they put it up, how did they, any contacts they made, any sort of suggestions to the manufacturer. So that program's still going. The Isotron 20 meter has been posted. That show is in the podcast feed, and the segments are now on YouTube. If you're interested in that wacky little thing, go check that out. But we got some more money to keep it going for another month, Steve. So that's nice. Cool. I didn't know there was so many people out there that were like, yeah, I got a Yaesu and a thing, $5. Mm-hmm. So there you go. And 30 days, we're casting. I'll call it casting. It's actually a lottery. If you want to, you can also become part of this program. All you need is a 100-watt ID. Go to our website, and 100wattsinawire.com, and click on the 30 days tab. It will teach you real simply the purpose of the 30-day review program is to provide an honest review where members of our community are randomly chosen. Now, our podcast listeners are probably thinking, Steve must have walked off to the bathroom. I hear a tinkling. That is true. Oh, it's so. Oh, sorry.
It's my thermos.
Pouring coffee. He is not going to the bathroom. Just kidding. Our community will test for 30 days ham radio and ham radio adjacent products, and you can get in this lottery. Say this is something that you're interested in doing, providing a real honest review system. Get your 100-watt ID. You can do that. There's a link right there on the 30 days tab, and it has its own link as well. Once you have your ID, come over and become a reviewer. You can send in your information. This is important. It stays here, and it's with us. It's not public. And what happens is if your name is selected, I will send you an email and say, hey, y'all, are you ready for this? Are you ready to review this product? And we're going to be doing it this weekend, this week coming up, because we're about to drop a new program. We're going to pick some new names to test new products. Check this out, Steve. Check this out. Let me go over here. Have you ever heard of this? This is what we're gonna do. Look at this handsome man. I don't know who this is, but
nice. Looks like a potato gun.
It is a antenna launcher.
Nice.
It's called the Air Boss. You can see this online, and this is the man I believe who originated it. But he's got a fishing reel up there. They pump some air into this thing, and it will launch your antenna up into the sky and up over a tree. We're going to do that. So we're going to pick probably 3 people, and then maybe we'll give one away. It's got a valve, and it's called the Air Boss. The Air Boss. This gentleman right here, pardon me, is taken over for where I think his grandfather or his father. Yeah, his grandfather made the original Air Boss. So that's one. That ought to be interesting to test. The other one, Steve, I think you'll dig this. Because I'm a little sensitive. I don't want to send out these things because it's still cold, man. You just be out there, reeled in and run in the house. So we want to give it a fair shot. So also to come inside. Do you have one of these, Steve? I bet you do. One of these alpha delta switches. We're going to give away I think it's called the B4. It's got, it's a switcher. Your alpha delta switcher. Looks like the one here, 4-position sort of thing, but we'll give away the...
with the center provision, I think it goes to ground. So, yeah.
It goes to ground. And I got one here. This is a 2. But we're going to do the 4, and we'll pick names for that. If you've got your 100-watt ID, you can put your name in to be a reviewer. You stay in the pot. You just do it one time, and you just cycle through. You can always pass. You can say, nope, I can't. I'll be traveling. I can't do it. Sorry. Next time. But we're going to do a switch, and you can do this right inside. Nice. We'll test it, see how it comes to you, what you think, how you set it up, what you did. And your peers review it, and they'll let you know, is it good or is it bad? I've had nothing but good things to say about it myself. I am a user. I have a 4 in play, but I also I grew out of this one. This is a two-position switch. One comes in, your coax comes in, and then you can go to one side or the other. We're going to send out the 4-part spot. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, get your name in now, or make sure you go over with your 100-watt ID and send your name in to be a reviewer. We can put you on the list. It's all random. It's a lottery, and you have to be quick. Keep me out of your junk box, because those who got me out of the junk box can say, yeah, I can do it. Put me on the list, and then I'm just going to go and put you in the game so we can keep on moving. So that's that. That's 30 days. We'll be doing another one soon. And next week's podcast will feature the Radio Waves DX40. And these are purchased with money from the show. So thank you as our members, anybody who donates, our sponsors. The money goes to develop, create, and distribute the content. There's tools needed to do what we're doing here. And so some extra, we're just going to pay for this stuff. You review it, come on the show and talk about it, and then you keep it. I don't want it back. I'm not even going to touch it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that Air Boss. I want to see that.
Yeah, I think you want that. I looked at it too. I'm like, I think I might need one of these, man. I might need one of those. Let me see this.
Perfect time just before spring tune-up, and
it really is cool.
Launch your lines up. So I like it.
He's there he is. It's in action. For our people who are watching today, look at it. He's just and puts it up over that tree.
Like a rifle.
Yeah, he's going up. All you need to do is go over it. They sell these little weights here too. I imagine that's Grandpa, or perhaps it's Dad. So it looks like a 3rd generation type of product called the Air Boss. So I don't know. We'll pick some people. We'll send it out. And get a review of it, see how it goes, and it's perfect. Will be perfect for field day. Anyway, there you go. The Air Boss and the Alpha Delta switch that's coming up soon. We're going to take a look at that 40-meter isotron. Now that antenna we've been seeing a little bit on Discord, because our friend over there is actually one of the testers, and he's using it out there in the field doing park activations. And we have not done the review of that yet, but I can say it sounds pretty good. Like, this guy's getting out with this thing. It looks like a big egg beater. Looks like you're going to just drop it in a hen house and mix up an omelet, but it works. It works, man. All right, what else do we got here? Anything else that we didn't get to?
Oh, you can, we join us in the socials. Well, we have the Facebook group with, as you mentioned, 13,000 in there, and then we have the Discord group, and a pretty lively Discord group. We mentioned earlier in the show that usually the first thing in the morning is everyone's kind of giving little weather reports. So come and join us on the Discord group. It's a pretty active group. We're over 550 now, which is growing slowly, and it's a pretty lively group. And so if you get a chance, check us out.
also did a thing. I don't have it here. What did I do with it? You know, our friend Ben. You listen to the podcast, you'll hear all about what Ben did to me. And I wish I could show it here. He sent me a calendar of dogs pooping. It was called Pooping Pooches. And I don't know what happened. I think I must have moved it out of this space here. I mean, and I opened it with my oldest daughter. We're coming home from school. Opened it up. What is it? What is it? You know, everybody's curious. What'd you get? Because it's a nice size thing. And you open it up, and on the and there's a dog, and he's just doing his business, and he's looking over like sheepishly, like, "What the F you doing with the camera, bruh? What's this about?
Ew, Dad. Ew.
What the hell? Privacy. Time out." You know, so it's a calendar of all these dogs like snapping the rope here and out there in the field, and people are taking pictures. I'm like, that is some twisted stuff. So I talked about it. I would have to spend a minute. I have to find it. I have to share it with you. Steve, you take over. See what's going on in the chat here. Let me go find this real quick, and I'll come back and show it to you because it is just that bizarre. Let me put you.
I think it was for a fundraiser too. On top.
Yeah,
of it.
There was some money going to good. Let me see if I can find it.
It was good. But yeah, we kind of had a little fun with it in the Discord group, and so it was it was pretty entertaining. But so let's see what we got in there. Yeah, a number of people got Todd's talking about have a couple of Alpha Delta 2S's, and then Paul has talk about 4 of the antenna switches. So there's the Alpha Deltas have been a really good product. Some of the models have built-in gas discharge tubes. I think the one Christian just showed, there was that little gold or brass-looking plug there, and that was for a gas discharge. One thing I like about the Alpha Delta is that when your unused position ends up being grounded, so it's kind of helps on the surge protection, and so it's a good product, and it, having the switch and going to ground is all fine and dandy, but when you hook it up or set it up at to get the full benefit, remember to tie it into your ground system, and we can go over that on making sure how your grounding is done on your station. So, but yeah, the Alpha Deltas are a great product when it comes to antenna switching, good isolation, and but good deal. And ideally, you want to try to keep your lightning and everything all out in the outside. You don't want to bring it in the shack. That little gas discharge is your last defense. So, well, good deal. So we find the calendar?
Yeah, I did. And I talk about it. You can, of course, on the podcast, but you can't see it there. And then I pulled a clip from it so you can kind of see that. I debated putting that up there because it's like, I don't know, man, you're talking about 5 minutes of a calendar with the dogs. Just so you know, here's our cover. And so old boy is just popping it there. And then 12 months of, look at this guy. I mean, he's deep in thought. And they're all like, dude, what is wrong? I didn't take it out of the thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. Dogs pooping, everybody. So thank you, Ben. Thank you. This is the Christmas gift you get, and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. Is that a dog? For real, it is a dog taking a dump. 12 of them. I'm like, I can't put this up here. What am I going to do? I didn't want to put the Cats and Shacks calendar up either. And so this one comes in the mail. Try this one. How about some dogs pooping? Is that one good for you? Yes, it's perfect. So maybe we'll put this on the... Maybe we give it away. How about we give it away? We'll give it away on the Discord. Okay. So everybody good? Everybody's good now. They know how to get into the 30 days review system. Mm-hmm. They know how to get their 100-watt ID. Put you on the mailing list, too. So if you're a subscriber to the podcast, you got your 100-watt ID. You get all the information first, and then it'll make its way up. What did we miss? What did we miss here? Santa Dan's here. Dan is here. He says good morning. He's joining us now. He's probably taking his 1,000-watt mobile rig out and shaking the windows of passers-by.
Melting the ice on the antennas.
There's always something. Let's see.
There's always something. Right?
Hey, we had a. Did you want to talk about the topics? Because we'll probably start adding this in here. There's so much going on now in the Discord that's hard to keep up, and Steve and I are trying to grab some of these conversations, and maybe it's best for another time. But I know that your tape discussion came back up this week. How you tape, what you do. You want to hit on that a little bit, or we can bring it back another week?
Yeah, I was asked what kind of butyl, or it came up to coax sealing, and I use at my everyday job when we're doing coax sealing, we use butyl, and that's how the question kind of came up, is utilizing what, where do we get the butyl that we use to seal up coax. And then I just kind of reminded, okay, if you're going to use butyl, put a layer of tape down over your connectors. And so I call it the 113 method. So it's one layer of tape down, then one layer of butyl, or mastic or rubber. There's and we kind of went off into that direction, and then 3 layers of tape over that. So the 113. So, but I kind of these days have been trying different products here at my personal station here, not utilizing butyl. Yeah, I can go grab some butyl and seal everything up, but a lot of people don't have access to that product. And so what I've been trying different products to see how well they hold up, that we all could go down to the local big box store or someplace and get it readily and do a decent job. So still doing the 113 method. So I've found mastic is one way. There's some Scotch products, Scotch 23, which is a rubberized tape that put the 1 layer down, then the rubberized tape over that, 3 layers over on top of that. Then there was Scotch 2228 is a thicker rubber, and the rubberized tape over time, as you get the heat and cool cycles, it will vulcanize and just come one big blob. So another method of doing that. I still do the 113 with vulcanizing tape because it still leaves a residue behind once you have to get back into that connector and cut open. So so we kind of had a little discussion on that. We had another discussion just a day or two ago on coax loss, and Don was planning on running a run. He has some trees that are about 200 feet away from his house, and he was kind of going, well, do I run a run of LMR 400 or a run of LMR 600? So we kind of went through that, and then started crunching on the numbers. It's like, okay, this is how much loss you have at this frequency. So we figure out what's the highest frequency you're going to use. And I just used 10 meters as an example. And then later he said 6. So we ran the numbers, and the difference between LMR 400 versus 600, the numbers aren't that great. And, but then now you're dealing with the cost per foot. I just happened to quickly scan by, the cost of LMR 600 on DX Engineering. It was like $3.50 a foot.
Wow.
Like, holy smokes.
That's wild.
And LMR 400 is half that. So those are the fact. We kind of talked about that. Okay, what are you going to do? This is the performance hit you're going to take if you're going to use this, but this is how much. In the end, it came down, I can save, a couple $100 in coax costs. So
jeez,
let's look at the numbers. Let's and run through it. Found a online calculator that was pretty good, had some explanations about coaxes, the various coaxes, pull downs. You put in your information, hit calculate, and it gives you the numbers, even tells you if you put 100 watts in, this is what you get at the end. And that was something that can help you on make those decisions. So these are things that we kind of go back and forth along with the poop calendar in the Discord group. And so
It should be my new thumbnail for this.
yeah, there you go. Got to take the plastic. There you go.
Gotta take the plastic off.
What
What am I gonna do with it? He's a nice man. It's a gag gift, and it went to help a pet charity, so it's good. And in honor of our friend Betty White, who is the matriarch of our program here, she was great with the charity and loved the dogs. She said that she had to keep acting so she could keep up with her charity work and all the stuff that she would give. Well, that's good. You're welcome to join us over there at Discord. We've got a tech now. We started that last week. We talked about it here on the show. And boom, it took off. And some take off, some do not take off, and some are just, that wasn't a good idea sort of thing. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Go over there. And yesterday I put out my wife was at the market and asked if I needed any new, alcohol. And of course you do. You have to. I mean, you're a prepper. You're prepared. And so she didn't know, and I was spacing on the names. I was like, I don't know. She was like, I'm looking at like 30 different bourbons. What do you want to try? So I posted on Discord, and then I walked away from it. And then I came back a little bit later. I mean, not just names, visuals. There's visuals and endorsements and recommendations, and I tried this, and this is great. And then it's a whole flood of, so it is the intersection of life and amateur radio. We're more than just amateur radio operators. And, life gets in here. Fido gets in here, and all kinds of fun things. People. So it's people, it's community, and we talk about a lot of different things. You're welcome to join us over there. And, of course, Facebook. We hit the 13,000 mark, which is great. Very active over there still as well. If you do the Facebook, we're around. Find us. Tomorrow night we're on the air. Well, Sunday nights, 7 o'clock Central. And so that'll be exciting. You going to run this week?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
be there with Uncle Paul.
Paul. Uncle Paul and his nuts. Still working on the TMI show for Paul. Too much information. Don't want to talk about that. So now I will refer to my stones and your stones as Mick and Keith. We will just say Mick and Keith. Mick and Keith check. Warm.
Dry.
Not too cold. Warm and dry. Just what you need. Is that too much information, Uncle Paul? All right, I think we'll leave it there. We'll see you over in the Discord. We'll see you other places. Thanks for stopping by this morning. I know you got lots to do, and it's fun to hang out with you. What are you doing today?
We appreciate it. I got my kits in the other day. So this weekend is we're building some double bazookas.
Really? Yeah, so this will be good.
Yep.
If we can figure out a way to kind of, even if it's snapshots, even if it's easier for you. He makes a fine antenna. I'm really trying to get him to go into that as he goes toward retirement. So that kit is sort of how you build the antenna around it. This is your support, your centerpiece.
Yeah, so the centerpiece. So it's basically a kit that I get from DX Engineering. You can see the part number there. It's $24. It gives you a centerpiece. So let me get it up here in the camera. It gives you a T here, a centerpiece, which I use, and then a couple of end insulators and all this stainless steel hardware, which I don't use. Where I get my finger in the right place, but it's good to go on your screw bins and stuff. So, but I found this to be a really good, just a support structure. And I just put my center section of a double bazooka right in here, and away you go. Also, I built just standard dipoles with it, with the hardware, and it just works great. So for $24, it's it's a great piece. Everything is there. And then I just lay out my my lines, whether it's a standard dipole or if it's a double bazooka, then I go from there, and away
Let's
we
talk
go.
about it. We'll see maybe if you made some progress. Even if it's not video, we can do some snapshots. If you do like incremental, maybe we'll talk about that next Saturday. And I just want to say, Steve, I'm trying to get Steve to go in with me and start a small business. I don't think antenna companies can really make it unless you get like a government contract.
Well,
But as we near
what do you think?
retirement,
What do you think if we maybe make 3 or 4 and for 40 meters and something, and we'll just give it out to the 30-day?
oh, you want to be reviewed, do you? Oh, I
Hey,
like.
if I'm going to put it out,
that.
let's do it.
Now
I got
that's
your
something.
I got your opinion on it. And
Oh,
your
you know
thoughts.
my opinion. Yeah, I can't say much. All I can tell you is that the care given to protecting that center connection in a double bazooka is nothing like I've seen on the market. Maybe I haven't seen everything, but there's care given to that very sensitive point that when you're moving your antennas up, something
This
short.
is the key right here.
That's the
This
key.
is the key.
I'll try to get him in the business, y'all. But hey, if that comes up to be a 30-day review, he gets the hanker in to make an antenna, and I'm like, you know what I could use, Steve?
I got let's see,
whatever.
I got orders for 2 40s and a 20 right now and a 160.
240s, 20, and a 160. We're already in business. If you just would, he's getting closer to retirement, so he's gonna need to keep him busy, or his wife's gonna, just go outside, go make a lot of antennas. All right, you guys, you be good. We will catch up with you next Saturday, and we'll talk about Steve. We'll check in on your progress here, and whatever else you want to bring to the table. Okay. 73 Steve, have a great day. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us and teaching us what you know about this great game, our hobby and service.
Oh, thank you. And 7-3 to you, Christian, and 7-3 to everyone. And thank you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Take care, guys. See you again soon. See you on the net tomorrow or Sunday, 7 o'clock Central Time. Look for us on NetLogger and on our socials. We'll post it up. Look forward to hearing you. 7-3, y'all. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.